Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well and I hope you're ready for another big week in the stock market. For me personally, I know it's going to be a big week. I know it's going to be a week there where I could potentially make a lot of money, or it's going to be a week where I lose a lot of money as well. So yeah, we'll take a look. I'll be talking about a few things that I'm looking out for. Just before we do get on to the upcoming earnings this week, on Patreon, if you are a Patreon member, I've just, on Friday I posted a video basically reviewing the earnings from last week and my thoughts on a few of them. So if you are on Patreon, do go check that video out. If you are not a patron, to join, the link is in the description. If you do join through there, you get to see all exclusive content. There's at least 8 videos a month on there with no adverts. Them videos can be education videos, there can be live Q&As, there can be portfolio reviews. There's a lot of different content that goes on there. There's also a Discord with 600 members on there, and as well as that, I post what I am buying and what I'm selling in real time and what I'm looking for in the week ahead as well. So yeah, it's £5 a month for all that, which is pretty good going as well. So I'm trying not to be biased on it, but in my opinion, that's really good value for money. As well as that, if you do want to start investing, there's links to some brokers in the description like free trade or stake. You join through there, you get a free share as well. But we'll get stuck onto what is coming up this week. So Monday is a little bit quieter this week. There's not really too much that I'm looking out for personally on Monday. I think this Chegg was a popular one a while ago, but I don't really know what it's done recently. I know a few people were in that one. So Monday for me is not really a day that I'm too busy on. Tuesday though is a bit of a different one. So Pfizer's reporting earnings. Corsair will be the one that I am looking at, probably the biggest out of all these because it's the one that I own. If we have a look at Corsair, we know that they have had a rough time recently. They announced their Q3 already, preliminary, and basically we know this is going to be a bad quarter. That's reflected in the share price. If you look at the share price, especially let's go off the last month here, you can see that it's been downtrending a little bit. The price has been struggling a bit, it's at $24. But because it has already reported preliminary earnings, we know they're going to be awful earnings, then a lot of the negativity of this earnings is priced in. We saw that with Facebook. Snapchat priced in a lot of negativity for Facebook, so when they actually bought earnings, everyone was like, oh, they're going to be awful, and they were, but because that was already priced in, they weren't as bad as what everyone was actually expecting, and the stock had a little bit of a rise up. So Corsair could be the same. We know it's going to be bad earnings, but because it's so negative, the share price has already got a lot of that negative priced in, that if Corsair came out on their earnings call and basically said, oh, so far what we've seen in October is the recovery starting to happen, we're starting to see strong sales, and we should be in line for where we were predicting in Q4, then everything will be pretty positive, and we might even see the stock go up maybe 1-3%. So yeah, I think that's where we're at with Corsair anyways. It hasn't been great, and those problems probably will hang around that company for a couple more months yet. But yeah, the only thing that I could see Corsair basically struggling wise, if they come out and say that the problems are getting worse, that would be the only thing that could probably see it go lower. Next up we've got BP, Under Armour, Ferrari. That's one that I used to own a long time ago. I don't know if anyone's a really OG of the channel, you might remember that one. But they weren't even on this YouTube channel then, it was in the old one. And then after the close, Digital Turbine, we've got Activision, Zillow Group. Zillow's one's actually that's really interesting to me right now. If you go here, you can see that since their 52-week highs around February time, it actually was a 52-week high of 212. You can see the stock has lost half its value. I look at Zillow, and with it being real estate, that's the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous. But I've looked into the likes of Zillow, I've looked at the likes of Open Door. Open Door is an interesting one. Zillow, for me, looks potentially even better than Open Door because it has lost half its value. It is very close to profitability, and as well as that, it has a lot of more of a diverse income in this sort of area. So yeah, Zillow is, and because of the news that they brought out as well, I think that had a massive overreaction on the share price as well. So Zillow is really interesting to me. So I will be checking out their earnings when they come out because it is one that is very high on my watch list. I don't know if any of you guys are watching that one or have shares in Open Door either. And then Wednesday in the morning, not too many big ones that I am kind of looking for. I know a few people have mentioned Discovery recently. But after the close, a pretty busy one. So Roku is definitely one that I do keep an eye on. Qualcomm as well. Skills is one that I'll be keeping an eye on. I've not really talked about it too much on the channel. I know a few people have been asking me to talk about it a little bit, but the problem is like since I last talked about Skills, there's just no new information out, so I basically would be repeating the last video. I get that quite often on like people ask like about an update on a stock, but if I've recently talked about it, then there's not really much anything I can repeat, and it's more better to just go through that last video. Same with Boohoo. Like I've had a few people asking about Boohoo recently, and it's like, well, I've made a video about it about 2 weeks ago, so there's not much I can add in from 2 weeks ago. And the same from Skills. When we get the update, maybe there'll be something new to talk about. Skills, Skills, I'm looking for obviously strong revenue growth. Obviously they don't price in their earnings new games that come out. So the games like Marksman, it'd be very good to see how that's going on. We'll see what happens with Skills. Looking forward to it though. I thought the last earnings were actually really good, but I think the stock went down off them. But the stock price has been really ugly recently as well. I've been a little bit more of a bounce back, but yeah. And then we've got Fastly, that's one that's fallen off a cliff recently. Etsy's a really good one. I like Etsy, I don't own it. It is one that I keep on a watch list. It wouldn't surprise me if at one point I do end up buying Etsy. I am a fan of the company, but I don't own it. Next up, going on to Thursday, Moderna. This one here is Penn National, so I'm interested in these guys because you probably know that will be our first kind of big, because they own a stake in Barstool Sports as well. I'll be interested in see what's happening with that one, just get a bit of an update on what's going on with the industry. But obviously I'll be more looking into this one on Friday, which we'll talk about in a second. So that's Penn National, as well as that it's had a bit of a fall off the cliff in the share price recently as well. So Nikola, I mean, I can't believe they're still public and people are still interested in that one. But Thursday after the close, I don't know which is the bigger one this week. It could be Wednesday, it could be Thursday. You'll have to let me know in the comment section. I'm going to say Thursday is the bigger day of reporting earnings. So Square, obviously that's one I own, payment company, and we'll see what happens with Square. Pinterest has been volatile, and it is normally historically very volatile when it comes to earnings. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Obviously last time it fell off a cliff, user growth, so we'll be keeping an eye on what's going on with user growth. Obviously they've been having the big talks about PayPal buying them, which looks like it's not going ahead anymore now. So we'll be keeping an eye on Pinterest for sure. To be honest with you, as long as they bring some decent earnings out, and if the stock dipped, I won't be too fussed, because I could actually see myself buying a bit of Pinterest. I think the potential for like the international growth on that one is massive. Uber, Airbnb is a stock that's really high on my watch list. I've not bought it though. It's just not at the right valuation for me. It IPO'd, and since it's IPO, the stock has just gone crazy. Whereas what I like to do is get a lot of these IPO stocks, and when the IPO, quite often they'll fall off a cliff, and then I like to buy them. So I'm hoping Airbnb does that, because I think it's a very good company that I would like to own. Peloton, I don't know if any of you guys own Peloton. They're normally quite volatile off earnings as well. Cloudflare, that's been on an unbelievable run recently. Skyworks is a pretty interesting one. I do track Skyworks a little bit. And then on Friday after close, Coinbase, I don't know if any of you guys own that one. I'm sure they're probably doing quite well because of all the crypto. I don't know how much of that will actually come in Q3, because it's been a lot of October, but I think the recovery for crypto started happening around the back end of Q3, so they might report good earnings, but Q4 should be pretty good as well. Canopy Growth, don't know if any of you guys are invested in that one. And obviously this is the big one for me this week, and it comes on Friday before the open. This is the most important one on this list for me, because it is my biggest position. It's the company that I have most money in at the moment, which is DraftKings. So with DraftKings, I am not really fussed what happens with the share price. That's the big thing to say. Obviously it will move my broker's account a fair bit if this goes up or down a bit. But I'm not too fussed what happens with the share price here. Because it hasn't really done too much this year. If we go on this year, you'll see that we're pretty much flat on the year really. It's meant that I built up a good position. I'm about an average of $51 at the moment, which isn't too bad really. So more than anything, I'm looking just for DraftKings to bring out good numbers, good revenue growth. That's the big thing. Few people might focus on like EPS or how much the company loses. I'm not really bothered on that point of view. I'm just I'm more interested to see that they're growing revenue at a crazy amount. The losses on DraftKings don't mean anything to me right now. The big thing is just taking market share, beat Flutter, beat Penn National, beat all their bet bet MGM, smash all them, and worry about the profits a bit later on, because that will come. You know, they are profitable in New Jersey, which I think is a state that's been going for 2 years. So a lot of these, when they kind of get all the customers and the state matures a fair bit, then I know the profit will come, and that is a bit further down the line. Right now, it's just, while this is opening up new states, take market share, have crazy revenue growth, and that's what I want to see. And the big thing as well is we'll go into this earnings with NFL numbers, so I'm hoping them NFL numbers are showing as well, which will be good. But it probably will be volatile. If we go on the previous earnings of DraftKings, you can see here the last earnings wasn't too bad for DraftKings, but you can see here we've had a down 12% and an up 18%. So with this company, we do have the potential that it could be a stock that moves over 10%. So we'll see exactly what happens. But like I said, I'm not bothered if it goes up a huge amount. I'm not bothered if it goes down a huge amount, because that's all short term for me. The big thing is just seeing that revenue growth going on. And the last few quarters with DraftKings, all I've seen with this company is keep delivering. And in fact, they're delivering above expectations. And that's why it's giving me that confidence to make it a large position as well, because of that. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. I'm not gonna lie though, probably by the time it comes around to Friday, I will be a little bit nervous. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, that is the standout one for me. But yeah, crazy weeks of earnings again, once again. A few ones I will definitely be keeping an eye on, and a few quite decent sized positions as well for me. So yeah, hope you're all looking forward to it. I'm sure there'll be maybe a few we make a video on as well. And for you guys on Patreon, I will make a video reviewing these earnings as well, like last week, probably on Friday or Saturday. So it depends when I get through all the earnings calls and everything like that. So hope it's useful anyway, and I'll catch you all on Monday, and I'll probably be talking about a few stocks that I've been buying recently on that video. So yeah, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.